Hey, what's up, folks? My name is Troy. I'm a health coach, I'm a physical fitness instructor, and I'm a mindful outdoor guide. And in this video, we're going to talk about a simple mindset shift that can help you get in shape. And, something that I learned on my journey. I'm also a former fat guy. I lost over 100 pounds of body fat. And something I realized is that getting in shape is a psychological process disguised as a physical one. So we're going to talk about that in this video. What I ask is that if you're new to the channel, take a second to hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you a thing, but it really means the world to me. So 3 things you may not have considered when it comes to getting in shape. Number 1, pay attention. What I would recommend to most people, this channel is about mindful fitness, mindfully fit, right? And what that means is paying attention. You need to pay attention because when you don't pay attention, there's things that you miss. Oftentimes it's things that you're eating, things that you're doing, things that you're thinking, right? And there's things that go on all the time that we probably aren't paying attention to. For example, your breath. If I asked you to hold your breath right now, you would be able to, right? Now that we're talking about it, you're probably thinking about your breath. But prior to that, it wasn't something that you were thinking about. It was just happening on its own. And when that happens with food, guys, we really run into trouble because we're doing something that we're not noticing, and it's hurting us. It's preventing us from reaching our goals. So the number 1 step, the most important thing that I would recommend to most people when it comes to getting in shape, before you try to make any changes at all, just pay attention. Pay attention to what you're doing. Pay attention to what you're eating. Pay attention to how you're thinking, the story that you're telling yourself. Pay attention to all that stuff before you try to make any changes. Most people benefit most from just simply paying attention as opposed to hiring the personal trainer and starving themselves and going on these crazy fad diets and, trying to adopt the Rock's workout regimen and stuff. Guys, like I said, average folks, if you're trying to be a professional athlete or a fitness competitor or something like that, I'm sure that there's another YouTube channel that you could find that would help you on your path. This channel is not for that person. This is for average folks who are trying to tone up a little bit, lose a little bit of body fat. And average folks benefit most from, before doing anything else, just paying attention. Get out of that programming. Right now you're operating on a program. That program, within that program somewhere, there is something that you are doing that if you could eliminate it, it would move you so much closer to your goal. Pay attention. Number 2, the identity / behavior loop. Identity, that's the story that you tell yourself about yourself. Oh, I'm such a big fat dumpling. Well, since I tell myself that story, then when I'm presented with a choice, right, should I eat the cupcake or should I not eat the cupcake? I go back to identity. What type of person am I? Oh, I tell myself that I'm a big fat dumpling. The big fat dumpling identity eats the cupcake every time. And then guess what happens? When you eat the cupcake, you reinforce the identity of being a big fat dumpling. And so one feeds into the other. It's a loop. Identity, the story that we tell ourselves about ourselves, and behavior, the thing that we do, that's a loop. One feeds into the other. So what we can do is if we're paying attention to the story that we're telling ourselves about ourselves, right, we have some degree of control over that story. We can tell ourselves that we're the type of person that doesn't eat cupcakes. We can tell ourselves that we're the type of person that exercises most of the time. We can tell ourselves that we're the type of person that pays attention to the things that they eat. And that little identity piece is something where it doesn't take a whole lot of energy or effort to implement that. It's just a thought. We do have control over our thoughts to some degree, and so we can direct them in a way that ends up being favorable for us. So whenever we're sort of faced with a fork in the road, what'll happen oftentimes is we will default in terms of decision making towards that identity piece. So it's very important, the story that we tell ourselves about ourselves. And then, right, behaviors, if we can force ourselves sometimes, we force ourselves to go to the gym, even when we don't feel like it. If we do that enough, that will feed into the identity piece to the point where we begin to tell ourselves, you know what, I'm the type of person that goes to the gym even when I don't feel like it. So consider the importance of identity and behavior when it comes to making some of these changes in your body. And then finally, guys, ego. Now, when you hear that word, right, I think that we have a tendency to, I know for me, when I hear ego, I automatically think bad, like, oh, egotistical, right? We tend to think of it in a negative context. But the ego doesn't have to be bad. The ego can just be, if you think of it like protective armor that helps you operate out there in the world. And the really dangerous thing about ego is that it can prevent you from seeing the truth. And you can end up being hijacked by emotion if you're not careful in terms of dealing with the ego. Now, we mentioned how eating, right, the things that you're eating are oftentimes the problem when it comes to body transformation and where you're really running into roadblocks. And if you can just imagine that the ego plays a role. The ego can prevent us from taking a look at things and seeing things clearly. The ego can make it very hard for us to make good decisions. Like I said, that decision-making process can be hijacked by emotions. And if you've ever told yourself, well, you know, this food item XYZ, I deserve this, right? Because I'm a good person, or because I did good at work, or if you're using food to satisfy an emotional need, or if you're using food as a cope, then the invitation would be to explore ways of feeling better that don't involve consuming food. There's many other ways. Explore what feels right for you. But if you're having trouble on your journey around body transformation, toning up, getting in shape, losing body fat, there is something that you are eating right now that you need to cut out. So things to consider: the story that you tell yourself about yourself, your habits, the things that you're doing, paying attention, getting out of some of those just automatic sort of behaviors and programming that we find ourselves operating in because it's easier and comfortable. And finally, examining the ego in a way that feels right for you. Thanks for watching the video. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.